Let's just fix this. Welcome back to the stream. Just gonna get some of the stuff nice and open for us. So I've got a couple things I want to get done this session. Notably, excuse me, I want to add aspects of the map that make it easier to actually play without just clicking and moving. So we're going to add two things to that effect. Not sure why this keeps automatically saying hobo, but it's okay. So we're going to add patches of the ground that apply a slowing effect. We're going to add patches of the ground that add a speeding up effect. And we're going to see if we can have one that allows for easier turns by changing the acceleration value. So you'll move, or you'll drag a little bit less. These are things that wouldn't be taken advantage of for just telling your racer to move in this case. On top of that, I want to add an ability to, first and foremost, affect the acceleration of your opponents. So, decelerate opponent. For all those physics people out there, they're gonna cringe at my use of the word decelerate. We're also gonna add an ability to stop opponents. And then lastly, what we're going to try to get done, this is just for starting off, like I said, we're going to add in a way to see the map. So things that provide vision in the map. I'm going to do it roughly in that order. This will give players a little bit more to do while the map's actually going. Okay. So, without further ado, let's hop into the editor and load our map, The Great Race. And we're going to start by going through some of the things that we did last time. So, last time we made the racers. These are the ones you play as. We made it so they provide an aura around them. Excuse me. And what this aura does, it gives mana to the finish line. When the finish line gets enough mana, the finish line then casts a spell that goes across the entire map, an ability, if you will, that gives negative regeneration to all of the opponents, thus killing all of the opponents and making you win the race. So the first to get over to the ending spot is going to be the one who wins the race. Then we made a little mock track, and we ended by putting these little blockers here, the start line. It's just a building with a lifetime on it. Okay. So what we're going to start with here is we're going to go to data, and we're going to begin by making a clone of the slow field. So we're going to take slow field, we're going to call this rough terrain. Call this again rough terrain. And what rough terrain's going to do, it's going to not have any health, it's going to be invincible. HP of, let's give HP of 1. Then what we're going to do is we are going to make it no-show. We're going to make it have no collision. And it's invincible. So we have everything we want it to have. Now what we're going to do, before we change anything else here, we're going to go to modifiers. And we're going to go to slowed and slow field, and we're going to make a copy of both slowed and slow field. So starting with slow fields, we're going to call it we're going to call this friction fields. Too much friction on the tires, slowing it down. Friction fields. And then we're also going to make a copy of the slowed effect that we're going to call friction. Friction up. So, now, if we go to friction up, we can see it is something that affects movement speed and it reduces it by half. For right now, we're going to instead make it a modest 0.8. It's going to multiply your speed by 0.8. So you're going to move 20% slower than whatever you're currently moving at. And we're going to have it hit everyone. That's fine. And then we're going to go to friction field, and friction field is going to apply the modifier of friction up, increased friction. Okay. So now we're going to go to the rough terrain. We're going to go down to the modifiers on spawn, and we're going to just give it the friction field modifier. Okay. So now, if we take the friction field modifier, or friction field, and we try to place it on the ground, we hit test, we go to our little dude here, the speed of 4 right now. He goes into the friction field and he does not get slowed. It's not, in fact, what we want to do. So, first and foremost, let's try making a different player with it. I'll be getting rid of the auras afterwards as well, just as a side note. Now we're going to test. Now player 2 should have the friction. And there we go. It's 20% slower. And that's the whole idea of it. So, how this would be used in the course, right? If we were to go to the starting line, as is right now, if you right-click on the target destination, it's going to move without pause to get to the absolute best spot. Now you might see here, that means it gets around all these curves with the least issue possible. I'm sure there's some ways to further improve on this, but as is, the pathfinding in the game's pretty good. So the idea of having stuff like the rough terrain is that you have to manually go around some of these bends because of the rough terrain, otherwise you'll take a speed penalty. So while you won't have to travel as far, you'll be moving through worse terrain. You'll be moving at a slower rate, so people who take that longer path can potentially overcome and pass you. That's the idea of this. So right off the bat, we can say, aside from aesthetics, that is the gist of the slowing field. So the next part is going to be doing the exact opposite, parts that make you faster. So for this, we're going to do a copy of rough terrain, And this one, what should we call it? Let's see here. Let us call this terrain. Let's call it curved ramp. Curved ramp applies a speed up. And then what we're going to do is, with curved ramp, we're going to go to modifiers, and we're going to make a copy of both friction fields. We're going to call it speed boost. As a side note, you can't use capital letters, you can't use spaces, and you can't use special characters for the ID string. But for the name, you can use stuff like spaces. For anyone wondering why I have been doing the ID strings the way I have. So we're going to do speed boost. Actually, we're going to switch this to fast track, because there might be an ability that we might want to make that would be closer to speed boost. So we're going to call this fast track, and we're going to put an F for fields in the data string, the ID string. Fast track F. And then we're going to make a new, and we're going to make it off of friction up. We're going to call this one speed up. Or faster path. Again, has to be lowercase. So this is the effect of the fast track. Fast track. So we hit create, and this time what it's going to do is, instead of producing, instead of affecting the movement speed negatively, what it's going to do is, let's first fix it over here, you apply fast track, and what this is going to do is it's going to increase the speed ever so slightly. Let's go with 1.2. It's the opposite of the other one. But what we're also going to do is have this affect the acceleration, because the curved ramp would help you accelerate in an actual racetrack, so we want to try to mimic that if we can. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to Speed Racer. I'm going to check what the modifier for acceleration is, just so we can get the exact ID string we're trying to modify here. So let's see here. I just had my last final yesterday, so excited. Looking for acceleration. Pain sound, death sound. Not exactly what we're looking for. Right here. So it's just acceleration. So we're going to go to modifiers. We're going to go to fast track, and we're going to add an additional field. And this one is going to be acceleration. And what this is going to do is it's going to double your acceleration. It's going to multiply whatever your acceleration value is by 2. So we go back here, let's just double check that spelling. So acceleration, currently for the curved ramp is 0, as it just immediately goes to speed, and also curved ramp is not moving. Speed Racer, on the other hand, has an acceleration of 0.01, which I think after doing some tests yesterday, I'm going to reduce that by a little bit. Let's see how 60% of the same acceleration does. So now, just before testing acceleration there, let's see how it does without changing anything. So this is 0.006 for acceleration. Okay. Oh yes, that's a beautiful curve right there. So going about right here down, curves all the way around. Now, with this in mind, the speed ramp is going to increase the acceleration by double. So now let's just, before we do that, let's go to curved ramp and make sure it's using the correct field. Instead of friction field, we want it to use the fast track field. So what we're going to do is we're going to use the same kind of path that we just used. It's right here. Because it's not flying, it can't overlap buildings. Hello? Right, because it's hidden. Let's just make sure we don't have any other units. So we're going to put it right here. Just make sure we don't have any other ones we don't want. So we're going to put one that is the wrong thing. Before we do this, we should also make sure fast track, this should hit yourself. I'm going to do that on all of these. So we're going to take the curved ramp, we're going to put them right here and right here. We're going to hit test. Take a look at how well this works now. So we're going to go to about right here, and then have it move straight down afterwards and see how effective it turns. So yeah, it goes all the way there because it turns just a little bit too much for that. So it goes into there, accelerates much better for that turn, but then it has to get around this bend. See, it takes quite a little bit here. So I'd like to say, in essence, with that, aside from aesthetics and number tweaking, that is the speed boost on this accelerator. So that's going to be working against the slow fields. Okay. So there's going to be the friction, so rough terrain that you have to go around, and then there's going to be, on the flip side, there's going to be the speed terrain. Now I think there's one more kind of terrain I do want to add, now that I'm thinking about it, and it is going to be a terrain to further affect your acceleration. How'd finals go? They weren't bad overall. I had 4 finals this year. It's a little bit more than some other people that I class with. One of them I spent, I think, 6 hours straight studying in the library for. Come to find out that it was for a biochemistry class. I spent 5-6 hours studying reaction pathways. Yeah, it was 12 reaction pathways. I needed to know each molecule and each step of the reaction. I needed to know the enzyme that moved each step, the functional groups that were affected, the change of Gibbs free energy, what were the regulators, what activated the reaction, what inhibited the reaction. And again, it was for like 12 pathways. But I come to find out like 10 minutes before the exam itself, it was not on any of the reaction pathways, instead it was on conceptual stuff. So to give an example from the test, we had to explain, or we were given a situation. Let's say you have, it tells you about the blood-brain barrier to the, as a barrier made by the circulatory system, keeping unwanted things out of the brain. You have to design a pathway or a drug that is permeable to the blood-brain barrier that can deliver the some kind of target molecule to the brain. So it's related to the pathways that we studied, but it was completely different from the other exams we had in the course. The other tests weren't bad. Getting back to this, we're going to add in the accelerating terrain, and we're going to do it the exact same way we did these ones. We're going to make a copy of the curved ramp, and this time we're going to call it slick path. So the idea of this one is you don't have you kind of glide on it so you don't have control. Think of hydroplaning, think of going on ice. So it causes you to just kind of glide out of where you're trying to be. So once again, we're going to go here, I'm going to make copies of field. I'm going to have this be fast track aura. Or slick path aura, rather. Slick path aura. Then we're going to make a copy of the effect. We're going to call this slick path effect. We're going to say effect again. Yeah, that was probably my hardest test, the biochem. The other ones were things like General Physics 1 or Basics of Cellular Biology. Not nearly as bad. So the Slick Path Aura is going to apply the Slick Path effect, tongue twists here, and the effect is just going to affect the acceleration, and it is going to do a whopping minus 0.5. We're also going to change the duration to be, let's say, 2.4 seconds, and the aura itself is going to have a smaller range in this case. And now what we're going to do is we're going to go to units, we're going to go to slick path, and we are going to change the modifier. And we're going to have it do slick path aura. So again, we're going to make it over here. Let's pick a good spot for this, actually. A good spot for it might be not just on the field. Keep in mind, this is not going to be the final map. Make sure I don't have that other one still out and about. Now we're going to hit test. And we're going to have it go. See here. So by the time it gets over here, it's going to have massively affected acceleration, so it's going to have trouble going around this bend. Also, if you guys have any suggestions for effects, abilities, or things to have on the map, feel free to let me know. Seems like that didn't have nearly the same effect that I had wanted it to have, so how about we add a second one down here, just so we can make sure that it's working. See here. It's going to go around the bends, hitting the houses, of course. It's down and around. Has the acceleration affected by that? No acceleration affected down there. So let's see here. We're going to go to data, we're going to go to modifiers, we're going to go to slick path. Make sure it's affecting friendly. Okay. And let's try this again. Just one more time so we can see if we had an effect or not. Gonna go around the bend, all the way down, gets caught in the field. I think I know what might be part of the issue. So we're going to start by going here. We're going to go to all three of these, and we're going to get rid of the lifetime that I forgot I put on. Or I left on, rather. Lifetime we're going to set to 0. Lifetime we're going to set to 0. I just got a message, I think. And let's try it with this. Goes around the bend, hits the houses. Keeps going around the bends. Gets hit by the slow. There goes acceleration. Has to try to go around this bend, which breaks the AI. And has to somehow make it back over here. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is, that looks like it's working comfortably. I'm going to start by getting rid of these houses. I'm going to get rid of these houses, I'm going to put them further back. And then what I'm also going to do is I'm going to increase the speed of the eraser. We're going to put it up to a movement speed of 6. And then I want to try to use some of these to see how well they work. So we're going to have, let's see if neutral actually has any effect on them. So we're going to put a neutral of each of these down. So let's see here, we've got 2 right now. So we want rough terrain, we want the curved ramp, and we want slick path. And we want to see if these have an effect if they're set to neutral. And sure enough, they do. Works for me. So with this in mind, we're going to put them into the field and see how well they work in practice so far. So let's say up here we have some rough terrain. If you are daring enough to go to the left side. Let's just make sure I didn't just place down 1,000,001. So we have rough terrain here. As you get over here, you hit the slick path, but if you can get far enough in the back, we're just going to first go to modifier, and we're going to select the fast track field. We're going to reduce the range. We want this to be very select. So let's say range of 1. So we have a couple back here with some more on these especially curved areas. I definitely think I want to have a slick path as you get into over here. And for rough terrain, we're also going to put a rough terrain here, and then right around this far bend. That gets corrected if you get all the way to side here. Let's say curved ramp in your favor towards the finish line. Okay, let's try it out. First, we're going to see how well it does, just as is. Slow down. There go the wheels. And crashed. So I think what happened there is the effect stacked. Yeah, you're getting 2 times the fast tracks, I think. Okay, gotta go around. Bottom line, it's gonna take some nice controls from the players to be able to get around some of these parts of the map. Again, this is not the final iteration of the map. And that was an interesting turn. Okay, sweet. So there are the 3 of those now in place. Let's go ahead, find where these guys are. Get rid of them for right now. Okay. More and more. Then we got some more over here. Almost done with this part. So, the next thing we're going to want to do is we're going to want to go to data, and we're going to want to make, let's say, for right now, let's make 2 abilities. We want an ability that causes your opponent to slow down. I'll tell you what, I'll be back in just a moment. I've got an idea. Okay, and I am back, and I have an idea. So, I want to be able to cast abilities. You want to be able to cast abilities. You want to be able to have some role in winning or losing the match other than the control of your dude. Short of, you want to be able to affect the other players, right? So what we're going to do is, we're going to create a new thing. We're going to make a unit. We're going to make it based off of the speed racer. And what we're going to do here is we're going to call this, we're actually going to make it based off of the bird again. And what we're going to do is we're going to call this an ability packet. Because the idea here is we want you to have to earn, so to speak, through some in-game method, mana. You want to earn the ability to cast abilities. So how we're going to do this is we're going to start by reducing the range of across the finish line to 2. I'll walk through this with words before I do the implementation. What's going to happen is you, the driver, are going to pass by an object. That object, this packet, is going to then get mana regeneration. If you remember from the previous stream, the racers are giving off an aura that causes mana regeneration in friendly units. So you pass by the packet, you give the packet mana. That allows it to cast an ability, set to auto cast, that is going to give you 1 mana. Now what this is also going to do, on top of giving you that 1 mana, is it's going to kill the packet, so no one else can get the packet. And what this is ultimately going to do is allow for you to use the abilities we're going to be making, the stop your opponent, decelerate your opponent, and such. And these are going to be slightly out of the way. They're not going to be on, or they're not all going to be on the fastest route possible to get to the finish line. There could be a detour that's just so you can try to pick up some extra mana casting your abilities. Now, there could be some on the way, there could be some that are just slight diversions, or there could be some that get you a large pool of these points, but put you a solid maybe 3, 4, 5, 10 seconds behind your opponents. So then it comes down to, are you able to use your spells well enough to get ahead, so to speak. So, what we're going to do here is we're going to go to the unit, we're going to go to ability packet, and we're going to have it get 1 mana versus maximum. Max mana, 1. Now, we're also going to want to give it, we're going to want to make a new modifier that's going to be based off of, let's see here, the new modifier is going to be based off of crossing finish line. We can call it ability packet aura. We'll have this based off crossing the finish line. And then we're going to do ability packet effect. Same thing, we're going to do effect. And we're going to have this one based off of the you crossed the finish line. So we're going to add 1 mana over 1 second. Actually, we're going to, yeah, 1 second's fine. And we're going to have this be a range of 5, and it's going to hit ally, hit friendly, hit self. It's going to hit ally and hit friendly. And then what else we're going to do here is we're going to have a second effect. We're going to base this one off of packet used. Because we can actually have a single aura give multiple effects. We're going to have this one go off of the healed ability. And what this one's going to do is it's going to increase this by, say, 1, and it's going to be -1. Now have this go for a duration of 1, and we're going to go to the units, and we're going to go to the ability packet and give it 1 HP. So now, what we have to do is we have to go to the aura. It's going to give the packet effect, and they're going to give the packet used, and the packet used is specifically going to hit itself. And now what we're going to do is we're going to go to units, and we're going to select the ability packet. We're going to give it the aura on spawn, disable controllable. Definitely not blind. There we go, controllable is false. And now we're going to give it, or to make an ability rather. We're going to make this ability a clone of the, they actually won the race. We're going to say power up. Power up. Can it create? Power up is going to utilize, ready for this? We can find power up. It's going to be universal, it's going to be an instant. It's going to cast, it's going to have to summon a unit again. So we're going to have to go here, we're going to have to make a copy of the, let's make a copy of Victory Pylon. We're going to call this Power Up Pylon. We can never have enough pylons. So, where is the pylon? Power Up Pylon. Power Up Pylon is going to have the ability effects. Instead of it giving the winning, it's going to give the ability packet use. Ability packet aura. So now we go back here and we go to the power up ability. P's, power up. You are going to cost 1 mana. You're going to have a delay after use of 30 seconds is fine. And you are going to spawn, instead of Victory Pylon, Power Up Pylon. So now what we should be seeing here, if we get rid of these two, by the way, health bars are like that because I changed the health bar, but since the unit was already placed at the previous amount of health. So we're going to place the ability packet. We're also going to, just before we do this, go up to the ability packet. We're going to give it a lifetime of 1 second. Ability packet, want it set to neutral to see if it gives the effect. And hit Q. That was the incorrect thing. So we don't want the packet to have the lifetime of 1. This is going to die from the previous thing. So it's going to have a lifetime of 0. It's the power-up pylon that will have the lifetime of 1. So put it there, and hit Q, test. And I forgot to make it auto-cast. So we're going to go to data, we're going to go to units, make sure that the ability packet has enough mana to cast it. It does. And then we're going to go down here to power up. Power up we can see is instant. Need auto cast enabled. And it does, and then we're going to change it to be target this point, maybe? Let's try it like this. Still doesn't do it. I think it's because it is, I think it's because it's a neutral. So it can't actually cast spells. So let's try doing it as red. Still doesn't cast. I think I might know what the issue is. So we're going to just, first before I fix the issue, we're going to make you neutral again. And then we're actually going to give the ability packet the ability to cast this spell. That might help. Okay, now we test. Cast your spell. You did not kill yourself. Suppose what we should do next is go to units. We're going to go to power racer, or speed racer, and increase your maximum mana to 5 right now. And then test again. We'll look at that in a little bit closer detail. Suppose for right now, let's move them up here. We move towards the packet. Ah, we're starting with 5. That should not be the case. It's because crossing the finish line gives it to yourself. So we're going to go to, you are crossing the finish line. Its allied hits friendly, does not hit yourself. So let's check off its allied. Now let's try it again. Instantly start with full mana again. So we do want hits allied. Ah, the joys of modding. We're in this through thick and thin, through successes and failures. So hits allied, hits allied. You don't want it hitting yourself though. So we're going to go to units, we're going to go to speed racer. We're going to get rid of the fact that it spawns with crossed. And see if that does it. Sure enough, that works. Sick. And because those are enemies, it doesn't affect that. Not quite enough for that. Let's try one more time. Hit Q. Have to fine tune this a little bit. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go to data and we're going to go to modifiers. The effect, we're going to have it be 1.1. So mana regeneration. Have it add -5 to the HP regen itself. Okay, now we hit test again. You didn't give it mana. Okay, aside from the fact that it didn't give the mana that passed by, it looks like that worked. Sure enough. So now what we're going to do is we're going to add a couple more of these. Switch those to neutrals. Let's make neutrals. It's a test. So the point of this is how you get the ability to cast abilities in the map. Okay, so now we're going to go to the crossed. You're crossing the finish line, and we're going to have the crossed add more mana. Let's see if that fixes the issue. Because what's happening is it's passing it so fast that it's either not increasing, it's not applying the modifier. Okay. And now we have to reduce the range, I believe. Something went wrong. Yeah, let's see why my dude just died. I think it's because it applied the negative health regen to itself. Yeah, that's a problem. So what if we do this? Go to ability packet. How low can we make the health? 1. Okay. Speed racer, let's increase the health to 5. Modifiers, we're going to have this be -1 for 1 seconds. And then U1 milk race lies -5 over 5 seconds. So let's see if this works. It doesn't solve the problem, but it adds more things to work around the problem. Okay, and now you didn't get mana from going through those. So let's try this one more time. A solution that I could do is increase the range of crossing. Just want to see if you get poisoned again. You do. Well, here is a stupid workaround that would do the trick. If we go to units and we go to Speed Racer, and we give them a passive HP regeneration of 1. Again, works around the problem, does not solve the problem. And this bird did not kill itself, this bird did not kill itself, and this bird did not kill itself. So now we're going to have the effect last much longer. So we're going to keep that at 1.1, have this last for 5 seconds, so it shouldn't actually damage the racer, even if it gets poisoned. Sure enough, now if you were to get multiple on you, then you would start taking damage. But besides that, that works. We have ability packets. Okay. The next part I'm going to do is a little bit off track. We're going to have it be the thing that provides vision. So we're going to have this be a clone of our favorite unit, the bird. This unit is going to be called the Spectator. Spectator. And what this unit is going to do, it's going to be no show, no collision, is invincible, flying, and we're going to check off the controllable, so it's no longer controllable. This is for ability packet. It's the wrong unit. So let's take off invincible, it's no collision, no show. And instead we're going to go back to Spectator, the one that we're trying to do. Invincible, no collision, no show. Then we're going to get off controllable, and the last thing we're going to do with this, so we don't have too much we actually need to do with this. The only other thing to change is vision. So we're going to go to the vision field, if I can find it. Vision. So the max vision you can have is 20. Just as a fun fact for anyone out there. So, trust me, there is a vision bird there. Can't see it, but there is. Just making sure I don't have any more things out and about that I don't want. Okay. So player 1 should now have vision of the entire field. So this is going to be important because you're going to want to see how your opponents are doing, then cast a spell on them. So I think at this point, we don't have the abilities yet. I think what I will do is, first and foremost, get rid of the vision. What I'm going to do is take some of the things that we have introduced, and then call it good for right now. So we're going to start with adding in a rough terrain, but a rough terrain, let's say, right in the middle. Everyone has to deal with this kind of obstacle. No, we want this to be a little bit more subtle. Let's put it right here, this in-between space. I think I like that. With another patch of rough terrain right about here. This doesn't affect a huge area, but if you do get affected, no big deal. We're going to do a similar thing over here. Just try to funnel people. And again, this is going to affect the trying to just have the AI work for you. Let's add some curved points over here, as well as over here. This is going to help those people who do get caught want to be able to go around the bends a little bit more, maybe with a little bit more skill and tact. I really liked how the slick path worked with, not the slick path, the speed. The rough terrain worked with the slope over here. And we're also going to add a slick path right here, as well as one right over here. And lastly, let's say someone tries to do some shenanigan in the middle here to turn around. They have to go down. And the very last thing we're going to add for right now. Oh no. I didn't realize everything we just added was player 1. We want those to be neutrals. Neutrals. You guys neutral. You guys split neutral now. You guys neutral. You guys neutral. You guys are now neutral. So anything with a blue outline is not neutral. Here looks good. Here, because I don't want it to be you have to have player 1 to get these fun effects. Couple things over here need to be neutral. There we go. And last thing, add in for all the players, we're going to add in vision of the map. With player 1, let's see how these 6 do. Sweet. Looks like it about works. So now we're going to select player 2. We're going to do a very similar thing. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Player 3. We'll do 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. And lastly, player 4. 1, 2, 1, 2, 2. Looking at play. There we go. Now we're going to hit upload. I really should be hitting upload more frequently than I have been doing. Check this out now. Then we're going to go to settings. We're going to say shameless self-advertisement. Sweet. Sweet, sweet, sweet. So we're going to upload again. And now, let's try to race someone. Jaban rather, was someone I had played in the map right before stream. So we just added some new features. He saw it right before, and now we're going to try it one more time with the new features. It's loading. Gonna wait for him to join and then try it out. Got 3 people. Square root of neg. Square root of -1 here. Some new additions, new toys to play with. I'm already behind, but we'll see how this goes. Go over here. We're gonna dodge the oil. Dodge the oil. We did not dodge the oil. Okay. Yes, turning.exe has crashed. Okay, we got the speed boost. We can now go, 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 go. Go, go, go. Avoid the rough terrain. Get the corner, get the corner. Ooh. Ah, I got hit by my own trap. There we go. I think that's a lot better. And with that, we're going to end the stream. Thank you for watching. I'm going to be putting this up on YouTube for people to track the progress. The last step I'm going to do is going to be updating the progress bar. See how far we've come. There's going to be an entire section that's just devoted to rebalancing it. Okay. So we're going to go to sheet 1. And now what we're going to do is we're going to say demo. I'd still say the demo's done. We're going to update the mechanics to about 7% right now. Map, still nothing. Sprites, nothing. Abilities, we're going to put at, I'd say we're comfortable. Maybe 3%. 3%, let's say. Map details, we're going to put at 2%. Just so we can see that wonderful progress bar increase slowly. And with that, thank you again, guys, and take care.